Hello everyone and welcome back to Of Bricks and Dragons. Today we are going to be working on Star Trek. As you can see, I kind of geeked out. I brought out all my little nooks and cranny things. So we got phasers and a couple tricorders. I got two different communicators. I got a little Tribble out here and an old tablet that I just use as a prop at this point because I don't know how well it even works anymore. So what we're going to do here, and this is my first time actually going through trying to play Star Trek. So this is the first starter mission out of the box set. I don't know how long it's going to take me because being honest, I'm going to fumble through this. So if you want to quick pause this, go get some soda or whatever you prefer to drink and some snacks of your choice. I'm going to butcher my way through this. I will not say any better than that because I am very novice at this. I'm trying to learn the Star Trek and the Fallout system. They are very similar. So as I'm doing this, hopefully I can come across some of the things that might come up in yours, because if you try to play this or you just want to listen to this to see how bad I do, so when you come across this and you're playing anything that I'm doing or whatever, if it comes up in your group, fine. Now this is just me doing this on my own. Now tomorrow I should have my best friend and a couple people. There is a possibility I might be able to get that one recorded. Otherwise I will do a Fallout starter scenario going on my own. I don't want to do it without their permission. I'm not going to use anyone's name because, you know, I don't know who wants to have their name out there or whatever, which is perfectly fine with me. As of all these videos, I don't think anyone's ever heard my name, and that's perfectly fine outside of hearing one of my kids saying Dad. You know, this isn't about me. This is just the silliness that I do. I enjoy the building. I enjoy creating things in role-playing games. So this is just me being me. So I've got 3 characters made up. I did do it on Modiphius's website. I didn't make these just doing straight pen and paper. So if things are wrong, I do apologize. We're going to try and do this. So I made 2 of them earlier. I'm going to throw them out here. This one I was kind of thinking as being a human captain. I think if you notice, all 3 of my characters are human. One is a changeling, and we'll get into that one. Okay, because there's a little backstory to that one. Just having fun with it all, just being silly and stupid. Alright, so I have a human captain here. Now that was the original idea. Whether this is a captain or not, I don't care. We are all starting at the same starting point, so if this is you know, whatever the scenario here has me doing, that's what we're going to do. So we got a human. Let's see, we have Harmon Vander. I've got someone that I intended for being a security officer, so we have Connor Bishop, and we have a Jake Sully. I decided to print this one in color because I actually got some color cartridges, so I was fine with that. So this is my changeling. The story here is there was a transporter accident. They were hauling a alien artifact during an ion storm, trying to beam out, got turned into a changeling, whatever. Otherwise, just a regular human. I just figured throwing a little changeling flavor in there, perfectly fine. I'm probably a very plain Jane, just basic kind of person. I don't do a lot of big varieties and all that. So here we go. We'll try this and we'll see how this goes. I don't have any figures out for me yet. We do have tokens because this is from the base starter set. So I don't know what I'm going to need out of here outside of, I do know I'm going to need the dice. So I got the dice out. We have different tokens here. Some of them have already fallen out, which is perfectly fine with me. I don't have an issue with that. And we're gonna play through this. So like I said, grab something to drink. I've got my drink of choice, which I will take a swig out of here in a second. Get something to munch on. Good comfy chair to sit in, or whatever you're doing. I'll read through it, and then we're gonna see how it goes. I don't know how long this is gonna run, but we're gonna run it. And normally I try to cap it about an hour. In the starter set, I believe it said there's 3 different missions. They all tie together, so we're gonna do this. So we're gonna have 3 weeks, 3 missions, and we're gonna go from there. Okay. So scene 1, in unclaimed space. So this is being done in the same way the captain does. So I'm reading through here. The same way the captain's log introduces many Star Trek episodes, a log entry in the game sets the stage for the adventure to come. So here we are. Captain's log, stardate 47515.4. We are in the remote, I'm going to butcher these names, Alicana sector, investigating the disappearance of the USS Alcabre. After 3 days in this unpopulated region of space, we found a promising lead. Hours ago, a long-range sensor detected a vessel and the presence of subspace interference. The ship is several parsecs outside of Federation territory. The Alcabre was on special assignment testing new engine systems designed to exceed Warp 5 without damaging subspace. I can only surmise that something went terribly wrong with the experiments. So, here we are. As the player's ship approaches the Alcabre's, I could be butchering this, so if anybody knows a better way to, coordinates, as we approach the coordinates, set the scene by reading the following aloud. So here we go. Once in visual range of the Oberth class starship, you see no signs of external damage. Still, the science vessel is adrift. All attempts to establish communications go unanswered. The localized subspace interference scrambles sensor scans and renders transporters inoperable. But you need answers. Is anyone alive over there? What happened to them? What happened to them and their ship? Your only recourse is to send an away team in a shuttlecraft. Alright, so we're going to inform the players that the heavy subspace interference generated by the ship and the location trait that affects them while aboard on their own vessel in the following ways. Subspace interference. Sensor scans and communications cannot penetrate this interference. This prevents the players from performing tasks related to their ship's sensors. This means the players will not be able to scan the vessel for life signs. Since they cannot acquire a sensor lock, they will not be able to use transporters to beam over an away team. Finally, the player's ship will not be able to communicate with anyone on board the Alcabre, including any away team. So that sounds to me like if we're outside of visual range, we can't communicate with anyone. Alright. When on the science vessel, the away team will suffer other effects from this trait, as detailed later in the adventure. Okay, so just taking it as what it is here, as I'm trying to open my dice. They're going to tell us what else we can't do, which I'm thinking that we won't be able to communicate with each other through our comm devices. So we'll have to figure this out. Alright. Plotting a course. Since the players cannot use transporters, they will need to take a shuttle to the El Cabre. To pilot a shuttlecraft, the players will need to first pilot a course. Ask one person or one of the players to attempt a reason plus con task. So let's see who is better. I'm going to say that Jake here, because he's our flight controller, I was thinking of him being a more of a pilot as well as security. So we need reason and plus con. All right. So reason is 9, con is 4, so that gives me a 13 here. So I believe I have to roll a 13 or less. I'm gonna stretch these out a little bit so you guys can see. I'm getting a lot of glare from the lights that I have. I'm thinking I might have to. I'm gonna be at a hardware store later on. I'm starting to think, because I got regular, I'm downstairs in my basement, I've got regular ceiling tiles here. I might have to start thinking about trying to redo some of these lights, because I do enjoy having the lights, because I've got 1, 2, 4 lights going right around my pool table. But there is a thought that maybe if I had one bigger light right over the pool table and one going over on towards my desk and stuff like that, which is holding a a Slave 1 Lego ship, a World War II fighter, Lego fighter plane, and there's another Star Wars ship over there. So, like I said, I'm running out of room for doing more Legos. I really want to. I enjoy building things, and I think that's why I like doing role-playing games, because I get to build. All right, all that aside, so it looks like I need a 13. The player adds the character's reason attribute and con discipline together. This is the target number. Alright, 2d20 is a default number of d20s rolled when attempting any task, but the player may buy more dice. See improving the odds. Rules booklet, and it says page number 9. So if you want to look in the rules booklet, as I step back here because I got the rules booklet right behind me. Alright, I don't think I really need it. I think I can get underneath there. Let's see, improving the odds, which was what it said. So I'm going to read this because if you're listening to this, hopefully you have the idea. Improving the odds, okay. There are several ways for characters to improve their chances of success by buying additional d20s to roll on a task. 1, you can ask for assistance. 1 or more characters may assist the task. Each character attempting to assist rolls 1d20. So this ties into the video that I put up. I'm doing this all on Friday. So a video I put up today, you're watching this Saturday, so it would have been yesterday's video where I was kind of talking about this. By having characters assisting, so you get a plus 1d20 if somebody's helping me. So in that case, if I was to have, he's got a, oh my goodness. Alright, so Connor Bishop has got a 10 and he's got a 4 for con, so he's actually a 14, and I've got an 8 and a 3 with Harmon. Otherwise, I could initiate a threat, which then gives me an extra die, but it also gives me a chance of threat. So if something goes wrong, or something goes wrong into the next session, that threat comes in, which is something I usually try not to get into. There's momentum. So if we're rolling a lot of successes, because I did read through that, if we're rolling successes, that gives us momentum, but that can only go for so long. Momentum, the spend create opportunity allows characters to buy additional dice representing coordination, teamwork, and building upon prior successes. So if you have extra successes. So one of the things I should probably do when they talk about this, as I get our little tokens here, we're going to bring our tokens out. I believe when you start, you have, and I'm going to mess this up here. So I'm trying to find this, and like I said, this is I'm doing this for the idea that you can sit down, listen to this. So as I'm fumbling all this up, we got the idea here. You start off with so much momentum already, which if this is Fallout, that means you're going to be starting off with so many action points. So the momentum is like the action points in Fallout. So dun, 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 dun. Seeing I don't see what it is right offhand, I'm just going to leave it be, but I do have these out. I'm going to set them right up here so we can grab them, and I will figure out as we go through where we're going with this. Okay. So, I'm going to have one of my other characters assist. So as we're taking a shuttle, they're going to be the ones in the front cockpit here. I do have an additional D20. So I originally put Jake as my pilot, and Connor, who's actually better, he's going to be assisting. So we have 3 20-sided, and I believe we have to roll underneath that. So we have 2 successes from Jake, and excuse me, and we have Connor, who did not make it. Oh my god, I got 2 5s? Okay. Okay. See, assistance from the shuttle's computers. Piloting a course will be assisted by the shuttle. Ask one of the players to make an assistance roll for the shuttle. Roll a 1d20. The target number is the shuttle's computers and con. So I don't know what the shuttle's computers and con are. I'm hoping that they're going to tell me. Shuttlecraft computers is a 6, con is 1, so that's a 7. Add the shuttle's successes to the result. The main character. Now I believe we have to roll below. So, and I got another 5. So 5s are rolling pretty good. The results of the roll. The task is successful if the number of successes equals or exceeds the difficulty number. If the player scored 1 success they needed for the task to pilot, they pilot the course and can proceed to piloting the shuttle. If they generate more successes than they need, these become momentum to spend. In this case, the players might use momentum to buy more dice for the next task of piloting the shuttle. So we got 3 successes. I only needed 1. So that means I'm going to start taking some of these out. And I think I'm going to have to get a little bag or something so that way I can have. I'm trying to do this, and the whole thing is I get the camera in front of me, so I have a habit of trying to then pull everything closer to me because I've got the camera in the way. Alright, so there's our bad ones. Here's our good ones. These are just going to be stacked up here. And doing it so you guys can see. We have 1, 2. This is going to be our current, not where we're stacking them, but I want to keep these as our current thread of successes and or our momentum and our threats, as my mind is trying to keep up with what I'm thinking here. The same reason why you get some people that stutter, their mind is trying to go faster than what they're thinking. Okay, so that's actually a ship token, so it looks like we're on like a galaxy or something like that. I don't have tokens for us yet. We will get tokens. There's more tokens in here. It doesn't matter to me what what everything is, what everyone looks like. So let me see here. We have okay, he was chief of security. He's got the right color uniform. Alright, Jake Sully. And let's see what else we have here. I don't have a lot of... Looks like I got Romulans and Klingons here. So, out of the ones that I have, I guess I'm going to have to... Let's see, we have a officer with red. That'll be that one. This is going to represent our ship at the moment. It is funny that we were talking about doing our birth class, because and of course now I can't find it. Sugars. Okay, so my mind is trying to work on this only for the simple fact of, I've got other miniatures and stuff like that for like Star Trek, because we did like some Star Trek tactics and so on and so forth. We do have this available, so we're going to call this our ship. This will be our shuttle. So, because I don't know what else is all coming along. This is just going to be our ship, just for a momentary prop. That's our shuttle. I'll take this out of here. And we are going to something else. Oh, I do have one. There we are. I printed these off of magnets, so I have no berth. So that's where we're going to. Alright. Okay, so we have 2 extra momentum. Alright. The player rolls a natural 20. This creates a complication. A 1, because this is a 2d20 system, is always a success. Let's see. A complication. In this scene, a complication could increase the difficulty of the next shuttle piloting task by 1. Or you could increase, or instead choose to add 2 points to the threat pool for later, or to use later. Alright. If the test is successful, read the following aloud. So this is what we have next. We have you've calculated the best course to the Alcubres docking port, adjusting for the attitude and rotation rate of the silent ship. Using your calculations, the pilot departs the shuttle bay for the science vessel. Piloting the shuttle. When the course, or with the course plotted, it's time to pilot the shuttle. Ask one of the players to attempt a control plus con task. Assisted by the pilot, or the shuttle's engines and con. So now we got to roll again. So that's our pilot. 13. No, wait a minute. Control and con. So now it's control. So control is an 11, and my con is still a 4. So that gets me a 15. And my shuttle, so I got to get under a 15 on those. Looks like I did that. I got a 6 and a 4. It said for the shuttle, I've got to get an engine in con. So engines is a 5, con is a 1, so that's a 6. And that's a fail, because that was a 19, so that's a fail. Alright. With the difficulty of 1. So I already got more successes than I needed. If the players created advantage in the previous task, reduce the difficulty to 0. Alright. Difficulty 0 tasks automatically succeed. So the player does not need to make a roll, which we didn't have to roll. We did. So I'm going to say that that gets us 1 more point. Okay. But since 0 successes are needed, every success will generate momentum. Remind the player that this might be a great way to add to their momentum pool and at the start of their mission. Remember, players can have no more than 6 momentum in their group pool. That was the number I was looking for before. So let's see, arriving at the Alcubre. Like I said, I'm sure I'm butchering this up just to no end. Once they have succeeded piloting the shuttle, read aloud the following to the players. Alright, as your shuttlecraft nears the disabled Alcubre, the main shuttle bay doors mysteriously open. You adjust your heading away from the docking port and safely land. The doors close behind you and the bay pressurizes. Apart from 2 of the Alcubre's own shuttles, the bay is empty, lit only by flickering emergency lights. The bay feels eerily deserted. Okay, so now we exit our shuttle. Everything seems just really quiet. Alright, at the end of the scene, as each scene ends, remove 1 point of momentum from the group pool. So then we remove one of these. Scene 2, aboard the Alcubre. So I've got light kind of going on here. Alright. Now that the player characters are aboard the Alcubre, tell the players that the vessel has the following location traits. Subspace interference, away team. Comm badges will not work due to this interference. Tricorders only function on people and objects within reach, arm's length of a player character. So that means having our tricorders really is not helping us, although a medical tricorder, so like this one, we can pop that out and we could actually scan someone to see if they're alive and doing well. Okay, emergency lighting. The trait increases the difficulty by 1 for ranged weapon attacks and tasks to observe or identify characters or objects at medium range and beyond. Disabled. Most ship systems are offline. This affects turbolifts, doors, transporters, sensors, communications, replicators, warp and impulse engines. Life support and other vital functions are operational via auxiliary power. As the player characters exit the shuttle, read the following aloud. You hear the beep, beep, beep of an active console waiting for a command. It echoes throughout the shuttle bay. Alcumbre shuttles 1 and 2 stand empty and dark. The doors to the control room are stuck half open, as if the ship's power gave out just as somebody walked through them. The light of the console inside the control room reflects in the window overlooking the bay. But there's no one inside. Whoever operated the shuttle bay's outer doors is not here. Okay, so now on the next page, and I'm going to show this to you, we have a nice look at the... Actually, you got a better look than I do because I get the light reflecting. Of our Oberth class starship. And we have our stats for our Oberth class starship. As I'm getting some tokens out here. So I'm going to guess that at some point we're going to meet someone somewhere. Because I've just got some random tokens here. I can tell you what they look like. I think you've probably already seen them. Whether it is or isn't or whatever, it doesn't matter. Because it's a couple Klingons, a couple Romulans, and a couple other single characters. So who knows what I got coming on. Alright. And that can go right there. Dum-da-da-dum. Alright, whoops. Wrong book. Let's get to the next page and let's see where we are. Okay, so I think we're getting down towards, no, Act 3, then conclusion. Okay. There's 3 acts to this. So, alright, the story of the Alacabre. I'm not going to read that at the moment. An examination of the console in the bay's control room is a difficulty of 0. So do not ask the players to roll. Instead, tell them the following information. Auxiliary controls are locked out and rerouted to main engineering. The person who operated the shuttle bay did not do it from here. Now, invite the players to spend momentum to obtain information. Players can ask a single relevant question per point of momentum spent. In this situation, one obvious question is, who opened the bay doors? Here are some answers and possible questions. Alright, the console shows that someone bypassed the lockout to operate the bay control doors from the bridge. Command codes were not used to reroute ship systems to main engineering. At this point, reading the following aloud to the players. Okay, so those are 2 possible questions. Command codes were not used to reroute ship systems to the main. Okay, all right. Just trying to reread that to make sense of it myself. As you study the console, the power sputters and the display dims. Before the console goes completely dark, the following message appears. Meet me in stellar cartography. Inform the players that they will need to use the emergency hand actuator to open the doors and exit the shuttle bay. This device is stored in a wall panel near the door. So this is going to be a standard thing here that Starfleet vessels are going to have. Just an emergency open door opener. So, okay, so trying to figure out where we were here. Alright, so I believe I already read this, but I'm going to read this again, seeing that I just had to kind of walk away here for a minute and got sidetracked. So we have auxiliary controls are locked out and rerouted to the main engineering. The person who operated controls not in the shuttle bay. Nope. Yeah, we're already gone past this. We're on Act 2. All right. I'm sorry. If I can think about this later, I'll try and edit that out. But I'll try and get us where we are. So let's see. Meet me in stellar cartography. That's where we were. Alright. Inform the players that they need to use the emergency hand actuator, which is, I remember reading that one. Alright. Create a complication with threat. So this is what it's asking us to do. Creating a complication cost 2 threat, which I don't have any threat at the moment. You can spend threat to create a complication that makes opening the door impossible. The emergency hand actuator breaks when the players use it. Now the players will need to find another way to force the door open. Encourage them to think creatively. Some options they might come up with include forcing the door with brute strength. This may require an object the player character can use as a lever to wedge between the door. And this has a fitness plus security task with a difficulty of 3. So now you're going to have to figure out how you're going to get 3 dice, whether you have two players trying to wedge it open or whatever. The other thing that they have here is using a phaser to cut the bulkhead and hot wire the circuitry. This is a control and engineering task with a difficulty of 2. Okay, so we didn't have any threat, so I'm going to let that go on ours. Once they get the door open, I'm going to have them just open the door. Let's see, how do we want to do this? I'm going to go with, I'm going to have them open the door, but you know what? We're going to make it a roll just to get it open. And we will use probably Connor here. Let's see, they were talking about fitness and security, control and engineering. I'm thinking a control and engineering task with 1 success to get it to open. So we have control is 11, engineering is 2, so that's a 13. Now he's got 2 that he can roll. And I get a 4 and I get a 5. So I said I only needed 1 because we didn't have any threat, so I wasn't trying to make it harder. I still wanted them to roll to get through, so that's why I added that in. However you decide to do it, if you wanted to throw out a threat and have them do it. The control and engineering had a difficulty of 2. For the example in the book, if you're reading the book, I would have made it. I still would not have given them a momentum token, but because they didn't have that threat, I feared only a single. They got 2 successes. I gave them a momentum. Alright, so after this, scorch marks cover the corridor walls. Damaged power coupling spark beneath broken, burnt out panels. The deck, or on the deck, are the dead bodies of 7 Starfleet crew members. So now we have 7 dead crew members here. Examine the bodies. To determine what killed them is a difficulty 0 task. Using insight and medicine, the wounds are consistent with the type of injuries caused by disruptor weapons. Depending on what questions the players ask, spending momentum to obtain information could reveal. Now, we're seeing that insight and medicine, I don't know who's better with insight. I got an 8, I got an 8, and I got an 8. So then medicine, dun 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 dun. Okay, medicine 1, medicine 2, and a medicine 1. All right, so we're going to use Connor. So insight was 8, insight is 8, medicine is 2. So that gives me a 10 or better. It's a 0 roll. I'm going to roll to see if we figure anything out, because that gets us momentum, then I can ask questions. Now, I needed a 10. I got 1 10, 1 failure. So I have 1 question I can ask, which does not take from my momentum pool to begin with. So, we're seeing disruptors. Typically, if you think Star Trek, disruptors are used by Romulans and Klingons. So here's 3 questions. The crew members died less than a week ago. The signature of the disruptors is Romulan, so this is saying Romulans. The position of the bodies relative to the damage in the corridor suggests the crew members lost their lives in a fighting withdrawal to the shuttle bay. So those are the possible questions that they have answers for. I was already thinking that disruptors, typically Romulans or Klingons. I was thinking probably just an answer about the disruptors. So I would say, okay, so this points a little bit more towards Romulans than Klingons. Alright, so we are now in Act 2. Encounter investigation interrupted. Okay. As this is the start of a new scene, decrease the saved momentum pool by 1. So again, we have another momentum that we lose out of the pool. Alright. Player characters will have to decide if they heed the message and head to stellar cartography, if they spend momentum to obtain information on the previous scene. They may be going to the bridge instead. If they split up, remind them that they will be unable to communicate with anyone else in their group, because comm badges and ship communications cannot penetrate subspace interference trait. With the turbo lifts offline, player characters must move between decks using Jeffrey tubes and access ladders. Once the players decide on the destination and are on their way, read the following aloud. Now, I'm stopping here. I am not reading this. I'm going to say I think it would be probably the best to go to stellar cartography. We know we have someone we can talk to, so that's where we're going to go. So with that, that's my plan. I think that would make the most amount of sense. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to try and go to stellar cartography. I have something to read. The corridors are dimly lit from the glowing of the red emergency lighting. Ahead, you find 3 more dead Starfleet officers. You recognize them from the mission briefing. This is Captain Kelly, his first officer, Commander Dandrick, and Chief of Security, Lieutenant Talau. As you examine their bodies, a disruptor blast scorches the wall beside you. You look up and see 4 Romulans at their end of the corridor. Okay. So now we have Romulans shooting at us. Use map 2.3 on the poster map and place the player characters and the Romulans at long range from one another as shown at the back of the booklet. Okay. Alright, 2-3. Okay, so I'm going to move my character sheets over here. And I'm guessing I'm supposed to kind of cut this out or something. Alright, so we have maps here somewhere. Let me see if I have some other maps. We do. Okay, this is the map we're using. Okay, here's the map. So this is map 2-3. Now I'm kind of confused as to... Oh, okay. Never mind. That answers my question. I was trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go on this. That's why I was wondering here. Okay, I'm going to put it here-ish. So we have our... I've got an individual here. 1 Romulan. And then we have our 3 other Romulan individuals. Okay, it looks like this is supposed to be cut in half. I'm not cutting this in half, so I'm just kind of doing this here. This is actually backwards from what it's supposed to be, because it looks like this is supposed to be over here. I'm just considering this as one big kind of hallway. I'm taking that out and we're just leaving it there. And then our people are supposed to be all the way over here. So that's what we're going to do. How we're going to work it. And we're standing there. Okay. Alright. This is a conflict encounter. The player characters take the first turn, and this is up to them on who goes first. So, we'll do kind of reverse order of what I've got here. Alright, so we got Harmon kind of doing the first. During a turn in conflict, a player character can attempt one minor action and one task, which I have kind of read through a little bit. After the character compiles his and or her turn, the action passes to the opposing side. However, the player may spend two momentum to instead pass the action to another player character. This is called keep the initiative, but the players cannot keep the initiative again until the Romulans have taken their turn on their own. The Game Master can spend 2 threat here to add the escalation options to the Romulans. This arms all the adversaries with disruptor rifles instead of pistols. See the sidebar for the Centurion and the Ulans, something like that. Alright, set phasers to stun. In order to stun your opponent, you must declare that you are making a non-lethal attack before rolling the dice. Alternatively, the ranking officer in charge can make this declaration for the player's characters by ordering them to set their phasers to stun. On to the next page, which gives us the Romulans. Okay. Dun, da, 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 da. Looks like we have 2 different Romulans. We have a Centurion and then the Ulan. So the Ulan must be the officer, and then the Centurion is just regular foot soldiers. So this is where we are. So our 3 foot soldiers, our officer. Okay. Now this being Starfleet, typically we're doing to stun. I guess my question is, am I going to go to stun or are we going to go to kill? If I've got people shooting at me and we have a ship that is now being controlled, I don't know if I'm really worried about stunning people. I'm going to say shoot to kill whatever. But I'm different, and I know I'm probably not going to be the best Starfleet officer in the world on that. Okay. Characters are stunned when they suffer an injury from a non-lethal attack. An injury occurs in one of 2 ways. The character takes 5 or more damage from a single attack after reduction from resistance, if any. The character is reduced to 0 stress. Injured characters cannot attempt tasks, perform minor actions, or participate in the encounter. Lethal attacks. So this would be me. A player character who makes lethal attack or an attack to kill adds 1 point of threat to the threat pool. Oh, great. A non-player character who makes a lethal attack must spend 1 point of threat. So now knowing that, I guess I'm going to try and do stun. Wonderful. I don't really see the point to that one myself. I guess it's the way that they react to us, but characters may avoid an injury once per scene. There are several ways player characters may avoid or temporarily ignore the effects of an injury. Rule booklet, page 14. Notable NPCs can spend 2 threat to avoid an injury. Minor NPCs do not have this ability. So any NPCs on our side do not get that ability, but any enemy ones, they can incur a threat on us. Alright, so the next line is starting to recovery and first aid, so I suppose we better get this over and done with. Now, we are at long range from the sounds of it. So I believe that would be dun, da, da, da. I thought that was like two yeah, long range, excuse me. Long range was, I thought, was like three D20s or so. Maybe not. Okay, so when we're talking about stress, and I'm going to show you here, I think it does work a little bit better on the nice colorized. So this is our stress. Okay, so my Jake Sully here, he's got 10 points of stress that he can have. Then there's his injuries and that. And then we start looking at our Herman, which I was thinking maybe as a captain. He's got 13 for stress. And then we are at 6 again, or 10 again for our Connor. So just trying to show you so you have that idea when you're looking at your own character sheets. Alright, so we have weapons, phaser, type 1. Alright, it does 6 damage. So that should still be 6 non-lethal damage, but it'd still be 6 damage. Alright, so I'm going to shoot. I believe I'm going to need 2 successes. This is where everything's going to get kind of goofy, and I'm going to do really bad. And when we start looking at this later, when I'm messing things up, we all know. Alright, so let's see. We have Herman starting off, and he's got a phaser type 1. So he's got a little cricket, but he only does 4. So your skill does really make a difference as to what damage you do. So Herman, he shoots, I roll. Okay, I don't, oh yeah, that's right, they did say what that is. I have a 17 and a 4, so I'm sure I have 1 hit. Alright. So when you attack someone, and this is where I know it's going to take a little longer, but when you attack someone, I believe they said it was, I'm going to have to look this up on page 14 here. So I remember reading through this, and I just want to double check, and that's, alright, combat. Here we go. Types of attack. Weapon and other forms of attack, as well as the damage caused by hazards and so on, have a few common traits. So, okay. Bonus damage, disarm, damage rating sides, damage effects. What I'm trying to find is how many dice you roll and how many successes you need. So we do have a chart here, so I'm going to show you this chart. Hopefully you can see it pretty well. Trying to get it. Okay, so we have momentum to spend 1. The affected character can increase the damage. We can disarm for 2. There's extra minor action for 1. Now you have an R and you have an I. So there is a line in here which does tell you what the R and the I is. Let's see. Dun, da, da, da. My normal sounds here. I thought the R was something that you can only do at that time. And like I said, oh, here it is. Under cost, where you spend is listed R. R is repeatable. So I have this kind of backwards. R you can do multiple times. If it's I, it means immediate. So that's something that you have to do right away. Okay, what I'm still trying to figure out is how many I have to actually For a ranged attack, an attacker attempts a control plus security test with a difficulty of 2. That's what I was trying to find out. Okay. Control and security. So I'm setting the book on top of my character sheets. So we have Herman here. I have a control of 11, and he has security of 2. So I've got to get a 13 or lower. So I rolled a 17, which failed, and I have a 4. So I have 1 success, 1 non-success, and I have to get 2 successes. All right. So that means that he failed. Now, when I look at Connor, control and security, I've got a 15. So again, I get to roll 2. And 1 makes it, 1 adds a threat. So now we have 1 threat to the pool. So that's an automatic miss there. And then we have Jake. He's got a control of 11, security of 4, so that's a 15, and I only get 1 success. So, from my understanding, I have not hit anyone. Now it goes to the Romulans. They have a control of 12, security of 2. So now they have to do 2 to get us. 19 and a 2, so that's the first one misses. I get a 10 and a 7. The second one hits somebody. Third one. 16 and 12, so that's a miss. And our last one, he's got an 11 and a 2, so that's a 13. And he does not make it. Now, in my typical fashion, I usually roll a 6-sided die. We'll figure out where it is. So as I pull out an old 6-sided here, that'll be our 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. So it's going to be our lead person here. So that'll be Harmon. Only because I'm leaving it just random. I don't know. Alright, so Harmon gets hit. Their disruptor does. It's 5. So really I need 5 of these. So I will roll 4, because you only get 4 of them when you're doing this, and I'll have to roll an extra one. So I have 2 blanks, 3 blanks, and then 2 specials. Alright, so fish is size 1H. Okay, so we get 2 points of damage. Let's see here, and it goes against Harmon, and he has a resistance of 0. So as we look, we have a resistance 0 here. Connor has a 0, and I have no resistance here that I can see. This is all the same program, so I don't know why I don't have. I don't know if something changed there, but I have no resistance either. But I don't even have that line. There is no reputation, no nothing there. So obviously, when I was making this, I didn't do something correct or whatever, but I have nothing there. So okay. And I admit, I mean, I'm doing this. This is a longer video already. Things are going to go wrong, and I get that. So that means that Harmon takes 2 points of damage, which let me grab a pencil here. All right. Oh, actually, I'm kind of. See, this is where things are kind of, once we start getting damage figured out, I'm just trying to figure this. Because Harmon has 13 here already. Now, the question I'm having here, and this is where we're going to learn, is we have some open stress boxes. So I'm going to guess that those are the ones that I'm going to shade in. So he's actually able to take less damage than others. And we're going to go from that. Okay, so again, we're going to repeat this. This might get sped along here when I go to edit this later to try and shorten this. I'm going to roll again. Now Harmon had a 13 or less, and that's not good. Nope, because 19 is not going to make it. And I got a 15 and a 7 for Jake. Jake had a 15 control and security, so that means that he should have made it. So he's going to hit, and I'm going to say the lead guy. Now he actually has 6 damage. So I'm going to roll. Okay, so I got 3, 4, and 5. So I do 5 damage. He has a resistance of 0. He's got stress of 11. So, I'm going to do R1. 1, 11. Now he's minus what? I believe it was 5. So that takes him to a 6. Alright, and then we're going to do the Romulans. Doing the 1. That's a miss. That's going to be a hit because I believe, let's see, 12, 14. That one hits, and then he had 13, and he misses. So we did have 2 hits. I'm going to say that they're just going to keep hitting the first guy. You know, whether these guys make it or not, I'm not worried about it. This is a starter. You know, I want to find out how all this works. So, you know, if you've watched a lot of my games, I roll really bad for my characters, and they do. Alright, we're going to roll this same way. He gets hit, and he gets hit, so it kind of spreads it out. Alright, so these are 5 damage each. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, 6. Alright, so Connor gets hit for 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Coloring in 6 of them. And then we're going to figure out where. Okay, and it's just 2 for Jake. So they're all kind of hit a little bit. And then we're going to repeat this over and over again. This, like I said, I will probably, well, you know what? We'll just keep it going here. Okay, so I had a 14. That means that Harmon got him. He rolls 4. We're attacking this one first. We're going to go that way. Okay, so that's 3 points. So he's got 3 left. 10 and 11, so that should have made it. Now, here's the funny part, because he's got a phaser type 2, so he's got the bigger hand phaser, and that's why he's doing 7. So that right there is enough to kill off the first Romulan. That's all I'm worried about. I'm going to take him. I'm going to put him over here. Well, alright, he's stunned. He's not killed, he's stunned. So that's 1. We have R2 and R3. And then we have the whatever, H1. Alright, so now we're going to switch to him. 13 and a 6. Um, 13. And he's got, Jake has got a 15 or less, so that should work. And he rolls 6 dice. Yes, he does. Okay, just double checking so I'm not rolling too many in one way or the other. Trying to keep it so you guys can see this. Okay, so I got 3 successes so far. 3, 4. Alright, so it takes me from 11 down to 7. Of course, the Romulans, and I believe they had to get 14 or less. Oh, he got 2 1s. And he hit. And then the other one, 13 or less. And then, of course, he got them. So, first one goes to, we have, not Harmon, we have Connor. Connor gets hit for 5 dice worth, 3 hits. So Connor not doing so well. He's only got five more points before he's gone. They are using full disruptors, so they're killing. We're stunning. This doesn't make sense to me, but anyways, oops, wait a minute. Then we have 4, which is Connor again, and Connor just got waylaid really bad. So we got 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So Connor is now down. Connor is technically dead. Now, I don't know if there's a way to bring him back or not. I guess we're going to find out. So I can't use Connor anymore. Okay. And then he shot, and it goes to Jake, and he has 5. So, and we got 5 damage to Jake. One, 2, 3, 4, and glorious 5. Alright, so we're not looking so good on the Starfleet side. Alright, so all we have left are Harmon, which we got to get a 13, which hit, and then we have Jake, who's got to get a 15, and he missed. Okay, so this is our next one, and it's only what, 4 dice, I believe. Yep, only 4. So next one got hit for 3 points, so that takes him down to a 4. Alright, and then they get the roll. 12, 14, 14 or better. That's 1. There's a miss and a 13. 2 hits. First one goes to Jake. It's 3, 4 points. Alright, 4 points. Jake's not looking good. Alright. Now I do have 2 momentum, so what I can do is we got 1 more. Get a 4, so that goes to Jake again. Jake gets hit. Jaish. Let's see. 6 points. Jake is down. So now we lost Jake. So now we only have 1 person left. Let's see here. So at this point I'm down to 1 character, so that's only Harmon. And he hits. He actually makes it. So he's going to do his four damage. And then I'm going to spend my 2 momentum here, which I probably should have done earlier, because it would have done a lot more, or a lot better, having more characters here than just the one. But he's going to shoot again. Yes, alright, I make it. And he kills off the second Romulan. Alright, the only problem is I'm out of momentum, and I'm out of momentum, and it's only one of me left. So, alright, well, let's see. I don't think he's going to make it. Got a 14. 14 was just enough. And then the 13, and then he makes it. So all the damage is going straight to him. Oh, geesh. This is... I think he's going to bite it at this point, because they both do 5 damage. Or up to 5. So, okay, so we got, what, 3, 4. So let me mark this off. That's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's only got 5 left. 1, 2. Well, he's hanging on by a thread. I don't think he's gonna do this. I just can't see the numbers really working. All right. So he's gonna shoot. I just don't have momentum. All I could do is I could add threat. Anything I do is gonna add threat. So, you know, there's if you read into this, there might be other things I could have maybe done. So we're gonna keep going through, because I just want to know. I miss. I had an 18 and a 19, so there's nothing I can do. Now it's their turn. May they get high numbers. They did 1 and a 13 and a 1. So unfortunately, there's 2, 3 damage, and that's just enough to kill him off. Alright, so unfortunately at this point the Romulans win. So I'm just going to kind of read through here. My characters would have died. I'm going to bring them back. Say we go through it, but they'd be dead. Okay, because I just want to get through this, because the more I learn, the better I get at this, and then, you know, I want to finish this off. So we're just going to kind of read through. Alright, so recovery and first aid. Characters recover automatically from non-lethal injuries at the start of the next scene. I don't know if they were using lethal or not. I'm guessing, because it seems like everybody else is using lethal kills. The character, let's see. If the injury resulting from a lethal attack, the character will die if they do not receive first aid before the scene ends. This is a daring plus medicine attack. Or a task, I'm sorry. With a difficulty of 1. So let's just see that I killed them off, because I'm just kind of going through this, because, I mean, I always roll terrible. The guys will tell... My friends will tell you every time. I always roll just horrible. Okay. So we already know I died, but we're forwarding through here. So for me to try and get people back, if we had lived, would be a medicine and daring. So Harmon being the last person, his medicine is 1, his daring is 10, so an 11 or better. So I got 2 successes. I got a 1, or I got a 7 here, and I got a 2. So that would be 2 successes. So that would give me 1 momentum that I could use for later. And then I roll again, and aha, a 5 and a 1. I only needed 1. Everybody's healed back to health. we're good. So that actually gave me back to momentum. Alright. Success stabilizes the injured character, but the character needs further treatment to remove the injury. This cannot be done during a conflict and requires a success of controlled medicine task with a difficulty of 2. Well, we're not in combat at this point. We've already had everyone killed off, so if you're trying to do it during combat, you could bring them back alive, but you're not going to fully regenerate them to full health. If you're doing it during conflict, so during a firefight, that's going to be control and medicine. So like Harmon's control and medicine, control being 11, medicine being 1, so that's still his daring is his daring's a 10, his control is 11. Okay. Alright, the Romulans will defeat if the battle turns against them and use a nearby Jeffries tube to move to a lower deck. So, if they lost 2 people, they may have gone. So we could have done it that way, but we went all the way through. I died. However you want to work it. Usually I always try to error for the group that I play with. So if I lost one character and they lost a character, maybe they would have said, well, it's just not looking very good. I don't know. Maybe just do hit and run tactics or something. Alright. If the conflict goes against the player characters, a fighting withdrawal is a viable option. Have a door mysteriously sealed behind the away team as they retreat, giving them time to escape, which is what we could have said on our thing. Later, they will learn that Ensign Lascelles in stellar cartography assisted them regardless to the outcome. Allow the player characters a moment to tend their injuries. So we could even say that we got hauled back to stellar cartography. Alright. So, as this is the start of a new scene, decrease the saved momentum pool by 1. So I just raised up momentum, now I decrease it. Okay. Let's see. At this point, in the mission, the players have several options and choices they make. The choices they make will determine how this scene unfolds. Below are 3 main locations the players may head towards, regardless. So there's the bridge and captain's ready room. There's a sick bay, and there's stellar cartography. Now, if we got saved, this is where we're going to be. So this is where I'm going to pick up here. Alright. The door to stellar cartography is half open. Inside, a young Starfleet engineer sits at the controls. A star chart of known space flickers on the large spherical screen, but soon the screen fills with static and then goes dark. Almost had it that time, the engineer says to himself. Then he notices you and exclaims, "You made it! Boy, am I glad to see you." So I'm going to say that as our characters wake up or whatever. Ha! Alright. Now you can take the role of Ensign Lascelles and have him interact with the players. So as a game master, you get to have his role. Alright. The ship was disabled by a failed warp drive experiment and then invaded by Romulans. See the sidebar for the story of the ship, which is on the last page. You should also share that Lascelles has been attempting to trace the source of the mysterious signal and called the Dacis away. He has the coordinates. If the player characters can restore the system in stellar cartography, if I can read, they may be able to determine who is working with the Romulans. This is a challenge and require at least 2 tasks to be completed in the following order. Okay. So I suppose what I have to do is now I have to read the story of the ship here. Alright. You will find the backstory of the USS Alcambray below, including what set the ship adrift in space and what happened on board since. The players will have the opportunity to uncover this information throughout the mission as they investigate the ship. Now we have Lascelles, Ensign Jim Lascelles, explaining this to us. It is more often satisfying for the players to uncover a backstory in bits and pieces as opposed to one info dump. In this case, they may discover information from computer terminals that, or from conversations with sole surviving crew members and in their encounters with the Romulans. 3 weeks ago, the Alcambray set out for the edge of Federation space to test Starfleet's newest experimental engines. The engines had performed perfectly in all Stage 1 simulations in Utopia Plantatia fleet yards. Captain John Kelly was honored when the Alcambray was selected for Stage 2 testing. However, the first warp field test failed almost immediately. The engines overloaded, causing cascading system failures, adrift, and unable to signal Starfleet. The skeleton crew worked night and day trying to repair the damage. The Alcambray soon strayed beyond the borders of Federation into unclaimed space. It was already generating raising levels of subspace interference when the Romulans arrived. When the warbird Modiphius discovered the science vessel, which did not respond to their hails, they believed Starfleet was attempting to develop subspace weapons in violation of their treaty. The Romulans would not give the Federation an opportunity to deny this act of aggression. Unknown to the rest of the crew, the Modiphius commander had a secondary mission. As a host of a neutral parasite, Commander Atrani also saw this as a perfect opportunity to finally make progress on infiltrating Starfleet. She sent Sub-Commander Denal, also host to a neutral parasite, to lead the boarding party. The Alcambray's crew fought back, but all but one, Ensign Lascelles, were killed. But the build-up of subspace interference soon disrupted communications, sensors, and transporters. The Romulan boarding party were stranded. Unknown to Denal, the Modiphius had left to answer an urgent call. Aboard the that ship, the Romulans have spent several days attempting to repair the engines, and the whole time Ensign Lascelles has remained hidden and undetected in Jeffries tubes, working to regain control of the ship. So that's the backstory. That's where we are. Okay. So now we can either bypass the lockout, we can reroute power. These are things that have to be done. We also have a shuttle that we could probably sneak out with, as far as I'm concerned. If the engines don't work, I guess it's not going to matter to me. But let's try it by their way. Let's reroute power. This is a reason plus engineering task with a difficulty of 3. So let's see, we have reason of 8 with Lascelles, reason of 8 with Harmon, 9 with Sully, and 8 with Connor. Now, so Sully so far seems like he'd be our better person. Being role-playing games, this is how we kind of work through it. We have reason and engineering, who's 2, 2, and 2. Oh, okay, well, I guess it really doesn't matter. They're all about the same. So we have to get, we have a difficulty of 3. So I'm going to use one of these for an extra. Okay, so we got 3 already. And I also have an extra if I wanted to use it, I was going to use it, which gives me a 2. Alright, so that gives me 2 more in return. So I used 1, I gained 2. There. And we still have 1 threat somewhere that could pop up. Alright. So, actually, why don't I give the group an extra threat because they lost and then were pulled away. So that kind of adds in here. So now we rerouted power. Alright, once successful, now we read this. The system in stellar cartography comes to life. Ensign Lascelles eagerly inputs the coordinates. The location lights up on the star chart. Lascelles whistles in appreciation. Now that's unexpected, he says. The signal the Dacius received came from the Klingon armored space station Kotar. The station straddles the edge of the Klingon Empire in unexplored space. Alright. Now this is where I would say this. If this was an actual group, because of the whistling, and we have the threat, I would remove at least 1 threat and say, because we still had, what do we have? 1 of each. So we have the commander and the 1 centurion. I would have them come in and we would start another firefight. Okay? Now, I'm not going to go through a firefight because our characters would have died or whatever. You know, however you want to do this. And you know, we're going to kind of keep going through. Alright, so, to engineering. To stop the Romulans and regain control of the ship, the player characters will need to go to engineering. To prepare, they may ask Lascelles about the route and anything else that may help them. As Lascelles insists on guiding them to engineering, you may also share the following details in response to questions. So as you're kind of walking, now to me this would be after we took out them, so that would probably take care of the Romulans. I don't know if they have any extra Romulans listed here or not. Engineering contains the emergency access conduit on the upper level. Unless the Romulans studied the emergency evacuation schematics, they don't know about it. The conduit connects with Jeffries tubes outside of the Chief Engineer's office. Jeffries tubes on the deck links up to the tube outside the engineer's office. With Romulans looking for them, using the Jeffries tubes to travel between decks will be dangerous, but turbo shafts should be clear. Now, with this being how I've said this, this is probably the last of the away team, because we've already killed a couple. They've been in some fights. This is probably it, but our characters probably wouldn't know it. Okay, so that's the way I'm kind of going with this. So, to the turbo shaft, Act 3, take back the ship. As this is the start of a new scene, we now decrease with 1. I'm going to remove both of these, so just being what it is, and I'm going to remove this. Okay, now, so if we've taken those out, there's less threat here, but they don't know it. You know, this is my thought here, so this is why I'm saying this. You know, the characters don't know there's no other Romulans. They're going to run around thinking that there's something else here. But having no way to verify anything, you're still going to have everyone sneaking around. And seeing I'm doing bad at con conflicts here as it is. All right, as we start the new scene. All right, to open the scene, read this. You leave stellar cartography, follow Ensign Lascelles. You hurry down a curved corridor to a turbolift. He cranks open the door with an emergency hand actuator. Stepping inside, you gain access to the horizontal shaft through the emergency hatch. The hum from the auxiliary power systems drown out the echo of your footsteps on the deck plating. You walk for 15 minutes to where it drops down to deck 4. Tell the players that climbing down the turbo shaft requires a task. This is a control and fitness with a difficulty of 1. So, I'm going to look at, we have control 9, fitness is... I don't have fitness. Oh, control of fitness are attributes. All right, so that's an 18. So he makes it. I need a 21 or less, so that's automatic. 21, and that makes it. And I've got a 20. So we make it. So I'm going to give him back 2. We had 4. I'm just going to give back 2. All right. So we all make it down. Use the succeed at cost rule here. So if anyone fails, you can kind of help them succeed. At the bottom of the turbo shaft, a half-open door reveals a corridor with 2 Romulans standing guard outside the main engineering. So we could still have two Romulans there. That's fine. Use map 2.4. So I'm going to take this out of here. And then, this is 2.4. Yeah, we got more Romulans here. So I'm going to kind of fast forward through this because it's getting to be a little longer. Now, combat, remember, it seems to take a while because you got to get under that number. So whatever your number is, you got to get under that number. All right, so we have that. We have, it shows this person here. And then we have 2 more. One's working there. One's working there. That's what it shows me. Oh, and another one over here. Okay. Alright, so place the player tokens and the Romulan NPCs as indicated on the back of the booklet. Any complication as a result of climbing down the turbo shaft makes noise and alerts the 2 Romulans, who will approach with their weapons drawn. Since the guards have been alerted, which we don't have to worry about, you can spend a threat token for reinforcements from the other side there. If the player characters avoid or took out the Ulorans, read aloud the following. Okay, Ensign Lascelles leads you to the emergency access conduit. Climbing the ladder, you enter the upper level of the main engineering on the far side of the room. The warp core is dark. Nearby, 3 Romulan Ulorans work diligently at the freestanding computer terminal in the center of the room. The subcommander paces, barking orders to his subordinates. Geez, I can't speak at this point. I'm just getting tongue-tied here. Okay, so we have the Romulan neural parasite, and outside of okay, so there's the Romulan with the parasite and just the parasite outside. Okay, I'm not going to go through the combat here. I'm just trying to get this going here. To determine what the creature is, the player characters will need to scan it with a tricorder, which they can do. This is a reason in medicine or a science task with a difficulty of 1 and must be attempted within reach. If successful, read aloud the following. According to your readings, the creature is the same species as the neural parasite that attempted to infiltrate Starfleet Command on Stardate 41755 with the Enterprise and all that stuff from the original series, the first season of the Next Generation series. Okay. Now we can try to restore the engines during the fight and everything else, and we go from there. In conclusion, if the player characters did not repair the engines during a conflict, they do so once the Romulan threat has been neutralized, which is what I would do. I wouldn't try repairing. I'm going to kill or stun the Romulans, tie them up, whatever, and then take care of it from there. Okay. Alright, with sufficient time to the correct tools and nothing to impede them, they can successfully perform their tasks with or without rolling any dice. It doesn't matter. With the ship safely recovered, the player character's first order of business should be contacting Starfleet Command to inform them of the mission's outcome and discover any neural parasites. Starfleet Command will instruct them on how the Alcabre, or them to tow the Alcabre to the nearest Federation star or outpost, Starbase 117. Starfleet Command will be eager to debrief Ensign Lassell after he receives a full medical and psychological evaluation. Upon reaching Starbase 117, the player characters receive new orders. There has been an incident on the Klingon armored space station Kotar, which Starfleet Command believes is related to the neural parasites. That is the end of what we have here today. This is a little longer than what I normally do. So, in conclusion to this, conflicts still take the same long amount of time, and it does take quite a bit of time to shoot back and forth and to hit and all that. Having 2 successes is kind of a bummer. It's I'm not trying to knock it. It's their way of doing things, good, bad, and or indifferent. I think if I'm going to do more combat or whatever, I'm going to try and get some armor. Now, I'll have to look into that and see what I can get for my group. Even if I can just knock down 1 point of damage every time they get shot or whatever is always helpful. I will look through again and see what it's got for the stress and if I was doing it correctly. I believe I was. Looking at the numbers here, I think I was doing it correctly. 12, 14 stress for Jake. But still, I'll try and look into that, and we'll go from that point. So, thank you for spending the time with me. Thanks for going through all this with me. I'm just going to run it through, put in just my little bit of editing that I typically do. I don't edit very much. It's been kind of fun learning the system. Like I said, tomorrow I will have a group of guys. I don't know if they're going to want me to record them while we learn all this. That could take a lot longer. If I go through this on my own, I do horrible at rolling, and I admit that. But we can go through. But again, thank you for visiting. Hopefully this helps you understand the game. Hopefully just listening and getting the ideas and my thoughts one way or the other hopefully everything jives and makes sense, and we go from there. So with that being said, have a good day. I'll see you on the next video. Have a good one.